Welcome back to 5 things that we don't learn every single week, because the same thing's happening every single week, and I wish someone would point out the things that are happening every single week so we could actually learn from them, improve, and see some better performances. Hi, how are you doing? Good morning. Right then, so obviously United widged it up again last night. We now should be deleting the Champions League theme tune off our phones, because we don't need to know that tune. That tune needs to just go away until we can sort our lives out, act right, and come back. That's what we need, because we ain't ready to hear that song just yet. So, number one, same old story, man. I sound like a broken record. We're poor in possession, and we're poor out of possession. We look physically inferior to them. There's too many people that look like they're trying to play as individuals. We are too easy to play against. I feel like I'm mentally checking out of this season, let alone what the players are doing. It's just not good enough. Number 2, Casemiro is done. There's a shell of what was, at one point, the best midfielder in Europe. At one point. Best midfielder in Europe. Probably around about 2018. Sometime around then. Best midfielder in Europe. Decline's inevitable. But the decline from last season the decline from 2018 to 2024, you go, yeah, of course. It's a long time. But the decline from last season to this has been greater than the decline from 2018 to last season. Starkly so. It's been unbelievable almost. I don't think he even warrants starting a game anymore. But then who do you play instead? Amrabat. I don't even know if we actually signed Amrabat or if we've got a cardboard cut-out version of Amrabat at the moment. It sure as shit can't be Scott McTominay that plays in there. So, like I mentioned on my review last night, I've been asking for us to just do something different. That same forward 6, and I'll just ignore the back 4 because we are playing whoever is fit. But that same forward 6 has played a lot of football together at the moment in that orientation. Rashford on the left, Gacho on the right, Holland on the middle, Bruno in behind, Casemiro alongside Mourinho, right? It cannot control games. It cannot create chances. Look, how about just switch up the orientation? Can we try Mount? Maybe in the Bruno role. And can we try Bruno in a different role? Either off the right, where he is effective, or play him as an 8 where he can be energetic and actually maybe cover a little bit of ground and see if he can play with a little bit of discipline. And bring Mount in to be a bit of a creator. Or play Mount off one of the wings. Give Ahmad a run on one of the wings. Or even as a 10. Or even as a 9. Can we just try something different? Because that's the frustration here with me. And that was meant to be a Casemiro point, but it stands. 3. Failure to capitalise. A few weeks ago, people was like, United can't finish in the top 4 or top 5, whatever it was. And we absolutely could have done, right? Because, forgetting yesterday, last week, United had 3 games where there was good odds that Liverpool was going to smash us, right? And they didn't. You come away with a point out of that. Now, you come away with a win in the other 2 games, which you were probably good value for, or should have been good value for. You come away with 7 points from 9. Instead, we came away with 2. The difference in the points, and then dropping points again yesterday, it would have put us in a Champions League spot. And then you've still got the remaining games of the season to try and do what you need to do. Spurs and Villa keep giving up chances. You do not deserve to be in the Champions League next year. And the problem is, you have to finish somewhere where Chelsea are to not end up in European competition. Because if you're not in the Champions League, which is a positive, being in the Europa League is so detrimental to everything else that you're trying to do. It's almost worth finishing outside that. I think as a fan, it's almost worth finishing outside that. The club will feel different because there is commercial reasons to finish in there. But it is provably detrimental to performance. Provably. You would think that we would try and play with a little bit more impetus. It's been a horrendously disappointing season. Horrendously disappointing season. Ahmad. Garnacho's looking cooked. Now, I think Garnacho has sailed through a lot of this season on some spectacular games and some rare good performances. The good performances haven't been the regularity that I think he thinks they've been. And I think it's starting to really affect his performance now, where he's playing extremely selfishly, he's playing extremely direct, and nothing is coming off. And he's not the only one. I think Marcus just doesn't look like he's doing anything at the moment. And there was at some point in the season, Marcus said him and Højlund are working to be able to combine together. And the result of that is, so far, I think they've got 0 assists for each other this season. So obviously more work is required on that front. Now, Ahmad got 45 yesterday. And I thought he was probably a decent part of why we looked a little bit better in the second half. One of the few players who he's secure technically. He's almost got like a Menu level quality where he's very calm and he just doesn't lose the ball. Is there a way to build into players like Mount and Ahmad and Menu that can actually keep hold of the ball for a little bit and see if we can secure a little bit of possession? There's got to be more rotations, more trust in some of these fringe players, because the ones that you're sticking with are not doing fucking nothing at the moment. Like, I know that Ten Hag doesn't want to play chaotic football, but the decisions that he's making seem to look like he wants to play chaotic football. So, final point, is Ten Hag in trouble? Yeah, I think he is in trouble. And I mentioned this either on my review or the one on Paddock. A lot of the things that have happened this season are not his fault, but they are his responsibility. And the guy that came last year looked like he was able to take responsibility for stuff, very stoic kind of like Jocko Willink sort of attitude of like, yep, all right, I'll fix that, no problem, and crack on with stuff. The press conferences are getting weird. And when the press conferences start getting weird, Jose's respect one, fucking weird. Him saying, I was sat here after the Sevilla game, I've sat here when United have lost in the past. Weird. Solskjaer's got weird. Moises was weird from the fucking get-go. Remember the rabbit in the headlights one at his unveiling? That was fucking weird from the start. But they even got weirder. Louis were always weird. Semi-entertaining, actually. Ralph's, he came out with a major surgery thing with only weeks left in his United contract. This club sends managers mad. This club sends rational, successful men over the fucking edge. And that's where I still have to sit in the, let him see his contract out. I don't think there's any harm in letting him see his contract out. Clearly the structure at Manchester United and clearly some of these players are not fit for fucking purpose. So why change the manager? If Jose Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ralph Rangnick, David Moyes, who led West Ham to European success last year, by the way, and is about a ball hair away from overtaking us in the league with a much inferior team that lost its best player last year. If all of those managers have been unsuccessful, including Erik Ten Hag, who was very successful with Ajax and demonstrated his ability to build a team and demonstrated tactical nous with Ajax. If all of those things tell you that we are unable to be successful, then why the living fuck would you bring any other manager in? We are trying to build houses on sand. Someone needs to come in and put a proper foundation in first. And that to me is where you go, all right, okay. Maybe we acknowledge that this hasn't been good enough from from Erik Ten Hag this season, right? And I am happy to acknowledge that has not been good enough. There are things out of his control and there are things in his control. And I think the stuff that's in his control has not been good enough. Okay? So what can we fix? Well, I think we can fix the recruitment, the sales of some players, some of the environment for training, some of the environment for analysis, the backroom shit that requires fixing. Fix that. Fix that then. Fix that, you'll get to see whether he can thrive in that environment. And if he can't thrive in the newly fixed environment, then shake his hand and thank him for his service and go and find somebody who can. But if you bring in anybody else, the evidence proves that this club is not fit for anybody to succeed. So why would you bring in another manager and have him start on a bad foot while you're still in the process of fixing the whole back room? Fix the back room, see what happens with the manager, and if it ain't good enough, you get a new manager in. But there is no point ruining another manager's reputation until we are ready to be successful. The evidence suggests no one is going to be successful at this football club. No one. So why don't we fix the issues before we try and bring in anybody else to try and coach the team? That's what I reckon. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments. Oh, before I go, I've got a new video dropping on Howson IRL tomorrow. If you'd like to get away with the woods with me and avoid all this nonsense, link for Howson IRL is in the description. We're over 10,000 subscribed on there now. We're only like 5 videos deep. So cheers to everyone who has subscribed. If you'd like to go and see what all the fuss is about, then links in the description. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.